Well, we hit the grocery store today, and at the entrance they had pumpkin pies. Melissa must have been really hungry because she bought herself a whole pie. Well, I knew that she wouldn't eat the whole pie herself, and since the kids aren't coming home for the rest of the semester, I thought I'd do my part. Don't know when the last time I had a slice of pumpkin pie was, but here it goes. Well, hang on, maybe I need a little more whipped cream. Well, let me tell you that's exactly how I wanted to spend the first quarter of the game. Thanks for ESPN for making it so we can't watch on a channel that we actually get really well. One day a year I have to come up to the attic and figure out how to readjust the antenna so we get channel 7. I guess it turns out okay when we win. So there we go for Broncos Monday Night Football 2024. Spent a little time on Tuesday night getting the lights on the tree. Last year we had a few sections that would go out from time to time, so this year I splurged and got some new lights so that we didn't have to fight that battle.
So I read Bloodwitch by Susan Dennard, and that's the third one in the official series, the fourth one I've read of this Witchlands series. I really liked Bloodwitch. I felt like of the books so far, I think it brought a lot of storylines together. It was encouraging to see kind of where everything kind of went all kinds of different ways in the previous book for these characters, that they were kind of started to head back toward each other and the storylines were starting to converge. I like that part of a story just in general where, we've all gone our different ways, but now as they all start to kind of weave back together, that's exciting to me. I liked the main character in this one probably was Adwin, and I liked him. I thought he was interesting. He kind of turned out in the first book, Truthwitch, he was kind of the bad guy, and I never loved those perspectives, but as he has become more and more a part of the story and isn't so much the bad guy, it's just a different perspective, I've enjoyed that a lot. So I would recommend, if you're going on with this series, that Bloodwitch is one to be excited about.
Headed back to the theater for our third movie as of late, called Red One. This one is a whole new level. A really fun Christmas movie, the usual late elementary kid who's convinced himself that the Santa thing can't be real and then has to face that it's all true when he saves Santa who's been kidnapped. You know, as you do. So, Chris Evans, The Rock, J.K. Simmons, really an action hero twist on a Christmas adventure. So, for Thanksgiving, we had a kind of different stuffing, and so we were ready to have some real stuffing. So we're making some the Wednesday after Thanksgiving. So it looks kind of like a Thanksgiving 2.0. This week Spotify Wrapped also dropped, so let me take you through a few of my highlights. So 12,000 minutes just means that I spent about 200 hours in my car. July 1st being a drive up to Vail and back for Alex's birthday. It's been a while since I've had a Christian song at the top of my list, so I like Holy Forever. I'll take it. And my top 5 is a pretty strong list. Over the course of the year, my tastes have changed. In January, I was listening to classical music, where in May, I was listening to movie soundtracks. And in July, I was listening to musical theater soundtracks. And this year, Phil Collins was at the top of my listening. I think ever since I started listening to Spotify, Phil Collins has been at the top of my listening. And no complaints from me for my top 5 artists. That turned out pretty good. So for this looks like we have company section, it's kind of interesting because I had Weird Al last year and I'm pretty sure he was eating a sandwich. So I don't know if it's the same clip of Weird Al eating a sandwich. I'll have to come back next year and see if it's the same clip.
Good sandwich.
So that's a wrap on my Spotify Wrapped for 2024. So a fun little Christmas decoration in the South office. We have these little elves that have the faces of all the teachers in the school. I'm unsure as to why I ended up upside down and nobody else did.
So, I read Raven Boys by Maggie, Stiefvater, and I read that for book club, which is tonight. I'm giving you my pre-book club opinion of the book as opposed to after we've torn it all apart. Raven Boys was by an author that I've read before, Maggie Stiefvater. She wrote Scorpio Races, which I loved, and have maybe reported on the vlog. But the Raven Boys was one I'd heard a lot of great things about, and so I was interested to read it. I liked it and I didn't like it, and I like the writing style in general. I liked that about halfway through the book, maybe a little bit more, there was a twist that I hadn't seen coming, and that a character that I couldn't tell if they were important ended up to be important. I like kind of the mystery of them trying to figure things out, and I like the characters, but I'm never comfortable with things that have to do with psychics and ritual magic. I like fantasy where it's fake magic and everybody has magic, but the things that are kind of more woven into practices that people have nowadays, that isn't ever my jam. So I already kind of was on edge as we headed into the beginning of the story, but I didn't dislike the characters. I felt like the story was interesting, and this girl, as she gets connected with this group of boys from this prep school, I felt like she was interesting, and there was also kind of what looked like was going to be a love triangle, and I never love love triangles. Bug me. They're a trope I don't enjoy, but it wasn't full out, and so it didn't. I guess it was all right. I only rated it 3 stars on Goodreads, and I think in some ways that's probably because of that kind of the supernatural being that kind of psychic, ritualistic kind of stuff just kind of brought it down for me. That being said, if that's not something that is a negative for you or that doesn't bother you, the character development was really interesting and the mystery was good, so I might recommend the Raven Boys to you.
And so I ended the week by putting out the lawn decorations in our yard and kind of getting everything looking like Christmas on the outside.